One of the great parts of this business is you really never do anything twice. Everything is a new challenge. There are times if you're just doing campfires, of course, they're all the same. But on this end of the visual effects world, you never really do anything twice. So everything you do is a new challenge. The amount of time to build the trains and the set was approximately about 10 to 12 weeks. Probably had about a 15, 18-man crew, which I feel are some of the best in Hollywood. We built 2 hero cars. We also built 3 cars for the pyro sequences. And then we built a single car for the crunching of the train, the accordion effect at the end of the show. We built the train exactly frame-wise, internal-wise, external, and all of the artwork, the wheel assemblies, the lighting, to match everything on the first unit train. The subway we matched also to what they had dressed in San Pedro, which was constructed and designed by the art department. We built that from scratch also to match perfectly.
It's a really contained environment, what is really tricky to work in. It's over 120 feet long and it's so narrow that basically only one person can comfortably work in it. And because we have many camera angles, it's really difficult to hide lights in that setup. And we first of all have to match lighting from first unit, and then we have to figure out how to hide them. And what we did is we drilled tons of holes in the ceiling and were hiding it within the set, what required a really close teamwork between the model crew and the camera crew and the lighting crew, because everything had to be hidden within like model pieces and so on.
Some of the biggest challenges are first working in a miniature scale of 1/8 scale and being able to match the lighting that was that Peter Hyams developed in his subway. So to match that in a miniature scale, but also have enough light to photograph these events at high speed, so usually 120 frames per second. So it's always one of the hardest things.
We had a double train system running through the tracks, and in the beginning it was to come in and just crash, and as the sequence grew, it was needed that the train would be almost a full motion control system, running the train with cables instead of a hard mount, which most motion controls are. So we had to come up with a dual cable system per motor to be able to control the trains through the tunnels up to a speed of 28 feet per second.
Some things that got built or configured especially for that shot. One is a camera dolly that runs behind the train at 27 feet per second, what is really fast. And it basically follows on the same cable rig than the train runs, and we can get shots directly from behind the train. And as well for the pyro shots, there were several crash housings that have to be configured to fit within the tunnel, because there is, for example, one shot where the burning train hits into the camera, and that has to be safety as well, of course. So that were like 2 rigs within the tunnel. Then there was an additional rig that runs parallel to the train outside the tunnel. It is basically a motion controlled system that runs at the same high speed. So we have basically 2 high speed systems running parallel and cameras looking in all directions. So that is basically a pretty tricky setup.
Then developing the timing of all these different events, of the jumping on the ramps and the different pyro hits and the amount of debris. So it gets pretty complicated.
We went on to design the pyrotechnics on this to start off with explosions that didn't occur with a gigantic amount of sparks and whiteout problems, and worked with the lighting department on this to make sure that didn't occur. We started off with some magic chemicals, we call, and then we went from there to gasoline and the primer cords, and slowly took this train apart. Most of the time when you do an explosion, you're either trailing a wire and you have a button that you can hit at a certain point. What we had to come up with this was a series of micro switches and timing circuits within the train and time that to the cameras. So everything is in line with the camera as the explosions are going off. So when we're setting the shot up, at that point we can tell the camera exactly where each event's going to happen. And cameras can pan and tilt to those timings.